welcome back to Book Club Preview. I'm Michael, and today we're looking at The Hobbit, Chapter 6, Out of the Frying Pan and Into the Fire. Well, it starts off with Bilbo being alone. He's escaped the goblins, he's outside of the other side of the mountains, but now what does he do? There's no dwarves, there's no Gandalf, he has no idea where to go. So he just starts to move, starts to just wander along to just find a way, at least far away from the goblins. And he kept his ring on because he didn't know what the goblins would see, what's out here, and he wants to still be safe and sneaky. And he's walking along and he sees one of the dwarves, I think Bilfer, who's looking out to see if anyone has followed them, which they haven't. And Bilbo sneaks up right past them and goes to where the other dwarves and Gandalf are talking. All the dwarves are safe, Gandalf is safe. And Gandalf is really upset because he says, we need to go back and find Bilbo. The dwarves say, no, we shouldn't have brought him anyways, we're out of here. And Gandalf has said, man, Bilbo is someone that I brought along. He's my friend. We're not going to abandon him. And the dwarves say, he's useless. Why did you bring him? Gandalf says he's not useless. And they're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then suddenly, Bilbo jumps right in the middle of them, taking off the ring. Poof! Surprise! It's me! And everyone is shocked. They see him. They start hugging him, or clapping him, whatever, shouting for joy. They call Bilfer over and say, man, I thought you were like a lookout, what's going on? And Bilbo says, oh man, I'm just super sneaky. And Gandalf maybe knows something is a little bit off, but he lets it go. And they're asking Bilbo, man, what happened? How did you escape? What went on? And so he tells them the story about Gollum and everything, except he leaves the part out about the magic ring. And again, Gandalf feels like Bilbo's leaving something out, but he doesn't question him. And then finally Bilbo says, what happened to you guys? Well, Gandalf said that he knew about the goblins, so he was a little worried. When he heard Bilbo scream, he, boom, disappeared, zapped the goblins, and then followed them. And then, of course, he set them free, they ran away, and they were able to escape. Sorry. So they escaped, and then Gandalf knew about a back door, and then finding it and running away. Well, after talking and sharing, they decide, okay, the goblins are going to be coming after us once it's nighttime. We better get out of here. And so they start going on. They have no food, they have no supplies, but they just go. Try to get as far as they can from the goblins. They end up sliding down this mountainside. Okay, they're kind of walking and then they just kind of fall almost, but they're sliding. And they're sliding down this mountain, and they probably would have slid right off of it. Whoa! Except for there's a forest of trees that they're able to grab onto. And, oh, okay, we're safe. And then they started moving along again. Now they're going for hours and hours and hours until they find this clearing in the woods. So all of the trees are gone in this circle. And they're kind of like feeling, this feels a little strange. Usually that would be kind of good news, I think. But this doesn't feel good. And suddenly they start hearing, "Arr! Arr!" all these different wolves howling all around him. Now, Bilbo's never seen a wolf before, but he's heard stories, and that sound sends shivers down his spine. So they end up climbing up these trees, all the dwarves and Gandalf. Bilbo actually can't get up the tree, but who is it? Dalin, I think, jumps down, helps Bilbo up, and then he jumps up the tree right as a wolf grabs his cloak, and maybe rips off his cloak or rips it with his teeth, and he gets into the tree. Whew, they're safe. The wolves gathered because tonight they were planning to gather with the goblins and go down and kill a bunch of humans. But now they think these guys are spies, and they're kind of talking about their plan and what they should do. Of course, the goblins are late because Gandalf killed their king, and there's all sorts of craziness going on. But eventually, as Gandalf is hearing the story, he decides to take these pine cones from the tree and light them with magic fire, and he flings them, poof, and it hits the wolves and it lights them on fire. And then the wolves are all running around on fire, and the dwarves are kind of laughing and cheering. The wolves are really angry. Eventually, oh yeah, the evil plan. They learn about the evil plan from the wolves, and Gandalf is thrown on fire. Eventually, oh, the goblins come. Okay, the goblins come and they decide that they can use this fire to start the trees on fire that Gandalf and the dwarves are in. Now, while all this is happening, the Lord of the Eagles, way high up on his mountain, is kind of sees these fires and sees something going on, and he can see the spears of the goblins in the forest. And he's kind of wondering, man, what's going on? Way, way, way down there, like miles and miles and miles away, but his eyes are super good. So he jumps off and he calls to some of his other eagles, and they kind of fly out to the forest to kind of see what's been going on. And what they see is the goblins singing a song about these little birds in the trees. They say, oh, what funny little birds in these trees. They have beards and they have no wings. This fire's coming up to kill these birds. Birdie, why don't you jump down and we'll eat you down here, right? So they're singing these terrible songs, and the fire's growing and growing and growing, and they're climbing up to the top, and the fire is getting closer to them. And then suddenly, the eagles actually fly in and grab Gandalf and the dwarves. A good thing too, because Gandalf at the top of his tree was like gathering up his magic, some lightnings coming off of his staff, and Gandalf was about ready to jump down and just start battling these wargs and goblins and shooting lightning everywhere, kind of like the last battle. He's planning to die, but before he does that, the Lord of Eagles comes in and grabs Gandalf and flies him away. And then Gandalf says, oh, don't forget my friends. They come in, grab their friends. Man, poor little Bilbo almost gets left behind, but he grabs on to Dalin's leg, and I think this is Dalin, and then Dalin is like just hanging with his leg, and Bilbo is on his leg, and so Bilbo's holding on with his arms saying, oh, my arms are tired, and Dalin's saying, my leg, get off my leg. And then I don't know how long this lasts. Maybe a few minutes, maybe an hour of just holding on for dear life. Finally, the Eagles take them to their home, where the Lord of Eagles says, hey, Gandalf helped me a long time ago. I'm glad to help you. I'll even help you get off the mountain and pretty far to a nice area. And then they give some food to the dwarves and to Gandalf and Bilbo. They just give them like rabbits and sheep and things, and then they prepare the meat, and they eat and rest. And that is how chapter ends. A few vocabulary words here. One is dell. Dell is like a glade. This is probably just better to look up an image on Google, but I imagine like where mountains are, maybe a flat open area where there's like some grass, maybe a little river, and it's kind of peaceful and nice. Abominable means terrible, awful. Helter skelter, this is like chaotic, wild, unpredictable. Clamor is a noise, like rocks, or maybe someone playing the drums they don't know very well. Okay, this kind of noise. Eerie is a high place where a nest is. So think of like an eagle, okay? In a small tree, maybe a bird's nest, but an eagle is going to be in a big tree up at the top, or even high in the mountains on a cliff. This is a eyrie. It's just a high nest. It can also mean like a stronghold. So if you had a land and maybe you had a castle for your home, but you also had another castle in case there is some war. And this castle is maybe in the mountain or it's high up and you can't attack it. That can also be an eyrie too. That leaves us with our discussion question. Bilbo comes in and he surprises the dwarves and he tells them the story, but he doesn't tell them about his magic ring. So my question is, would you tell the dwarves and Gandalf about the magic ring, or would you keep it a secret like Bilbo does? And of course, please make your own discussion question. That is all the time that we have for today. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Book Club Preview. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.